Alhamdulillah, Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen, wal akibatu lil muttaqeen, wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulihi Muhammadin wa alihi wa sahbihi ajma'een. Amma ba'd, fa'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajeem, bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Today we received a question in respect to women who are pregnant and women who are breastfeeding. Are they automatically excused from the fard of fasting? Now, understandably, women who are breastfeeding and nursing their children, and women who are breastfeeding, naturally they need to keep hydrated, and because fast can be prolonged, the sort of common misconception is that perhaps they are automatically excused from the fard of fasting. Now, let me tell you what the default position is. In Islamic law, Sharia law, the default position is that she must fast. The pregnant woman and the nursing woman, they must fast, both of them. Now, Ibn Abidin, rahimahullah ta'ala, in his Ar-Radd al-Mukhtar actually states that he says, where there's a case where a female who is breastfeeding or pregnant, in her circumstances, she fears harm to herself or harm to the child, then in those circumstances, Ibn Abidin rahimahullah ta'ala, who's an authority in Hanafi fiqh law, has said that in those circumstances, there's three sort of conditions that we must think about. Number one, we should consult a qualified doctor, a Muslim doctor, who would give proper advice in the circumstances, professional advice. The second sort of thing that we should do is look at past circumstances. So women who have previously been pregnant, previously been breastfeeding during the month of Ramadan, they will know based on previous experiences whether it's been detrimental to their body and to the child. And the final thing that they should do is listen to the signs of the body. The body gives signs, and you know, they're given for a reason, and someone should respond to any negative signs being given. But we'll look at that slightly more in a little bit of detail. Now, the first thing that I mentioned with respect to consulting a doctor and a Muslim physician. I know in this day and age that can be difficult. So, always seeing a Muslim physician to give you proper advice. But the ulama have ruled, and they've said, even if that means your normal GP and he's non-Muslim or she's non-Muslim, you can take advice from them in that respect. They will know what's better for you. They will know your history, and your medical records will be available to them, inshallah Aziz. So Ibn Abidin rahimahullah ta'ala says, where there is risk of harm to yourself or the child, then in those circumstances you should think about not fasting, because one thing, the Sharia sets out the faridatun min Allah, the fara'id, the fard actions upon us. Now we know fasting in the month of Ramadan is fard upon us. However, the Sharia, it's from its main objectives, the health and the well-being of a person is paramount. Absolutely paramount when it comes to these situations. So Sharia doesn't require you to fast in such circumstances where you'll be making yourself ill. Now, one thing which is important to sort of mention at this stage is no two women you will find are the same. So they'll go from different extremes. You'll have some females who are able to fast in the month of Ramadan whilst they're pregnant, no problems. It may be for prolonged hours. They'll be able to breastfeed children, nurse their children throughout the month of Ramadan without any problems in sort of the process as a whole. And then you'll get some women who find it very, very difficult. They won't be able to manage, they will have problems physically, and some of the tell signs I'll tell you about in a moment. So there's no one sort of set litmus test which allows you to apply to all. There's no one test which is applicable to all women. So you have to look at each individual case in its circumstances. Another important point I must raise at this stage is you have to find the balancing act. Now, I was mentioning about some of the symptoms, your body telling you signs. So professionals, medical professionals and physicians have recommended that in these circumstances, for both of these people who are nursing their children and people who are pregnant during the holy month of Ramadan, if they are experiencing things like they're not passing stools regularly in the toilet, the urine becomes dark in color, they're suffering from nausea or dizziness, things like this. These are tell signs. which is telling you that there's something wrong and potentially there may be a cause of concern to you or the child. Now, in these cases, where you don't know or understand, this is where you would consult a physician or somebody of caliber, your GP and a medical professional, to consult and speak to them and ask them, what the case is. No one is asking you in these circumstances, certainly not the law. The Sharia doesn't require you to be a martyr in this sense and absolutely exhaust yourself to the end. You're suffering, the child's suffering, and until you find that there's been detriment caused to you, or physically, from a health point of view, there would have been lots of damage caused. So to establish the balancing act is important, and you need to know that in Sharia there is a duty of care, especially when there's a child involved, whether it be you're pregnant and the child's within you, or whether it's a child that you're providing for. There's a duty of care upon you, and you need to ensure that that duty has been extended to that child also. And in the circumstances, therefore, the Sharia allows all these things. It puts all these considerations into place, so you are able to best plan and understand what you're to do during the holy month of Ramadan, particularly in those countries where we're going for many hours without any food or drink, like the UK. This year in 2018, it will be near summer, in the month of May, and prolonged hours. So we need to be very careful in that respect. For the fasts that somebody misses because they're feeling that they won't be able to fast in the month of Ramadan during these times, they need to keep an accurate sort of record. They need to document the fast that they're missing, so they have got access to proper records, and then whenever they are in a position to physically do so, they are fit and well and able to do so, they will then perform those fasts in the form of qada. For each fast they miss, let's say they missed 30 fasts because they were pregnant throughout the month of Ramadan, for instance, they would only be required to do qada and make up the 30 fasts that they actually missed. There wouldn't be any other payments or any other things that they would have to perform. It would just be a fast for a fast, qada, because there's a valid sort of reason as to why they weren't able to fast during the month of Ramadan, albeit whether it's nursing a child or during the purposes of pregnancy. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us the ability and facility to understand His law. وَمَا عَلَيْنَا إِلَّا الْبَلَاغُ الْمُبِينُ.